Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network. We're here at the Michael Jordan number, episode 23 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? And we did it, guys. We're finally, after 23 episodes with this starting chronologically in the middle of October, we're at the end of 1999. It only took us 23 episodes. But before that, I got to bring in Ed Ferrara to my Vince Russo. Or am I the Ed Ferrara to his Vince Russo? I'm not sure. You heard him right there. Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
I don't think I want to be either of those fucks, so I don't like that. This, with this pod, this might be more like the Marcus Jordan episode, as that is Michael Jordan's son, who is a complete loser. So, talking about Vince Russo, who is also a complete loser. So, but happy to be here as always, to hang out with you, talk a little Nitro. New Year's Evil, actually.
Yes. New Year's Evil, Logan, and they had this name for weeks, and you could tell that Vince Russo did not think anything about it because there'd be no matches were set up on Sunday or Nitro. I mean, I know that's how the booking was back then. They just anticipated you coming in, but now if you're watching WWE, we would already know the matches the week before, and it's obvious that they had to rewrite some things. We're starting to get some pushback from the real president of WCW, Bill Busch, here, as he's name dropped and kind of shit on by a couple of people. But let's jump in because we got an action-packed Nitro where they have to make up for what fucked up, what happened on Thunder and how big of a fuck up that was for long-term booking plans. So they kick off immediately. We see highlights of Thunder of Goldberg hunting the outsiders, including that funny line of just seeing that funny image, just seeing Kevin Nash's hand. And then we see Jeff Jarrett, and then going after Brett, and then Goldberg basically slicing his arm in two, pretty much. And then we cut back to see Brett, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett walking backstage. We are in Houston, Texas tonight at the Astrodome, one of the last shows, I believe, here. Tony introduces us in, and they talk about what happened to Goldberg. They show the footage again. I don't know why they had to show it twice in 2.5 minutes, guys, but that's I'm not in charge of WCW. They would still be around if they were. Tells us Goldberg shredded his tendon. He's had surgery. He had to get 40 stitches for that, and he should heal 100%. Tony then pivots and says that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were going to defend the titles tonight, but no one has seen Scott Hall since Thunder. And then we get this name drop of, sorry, I called him the president of WCW, but he's the executive vice president. Bill Busch has had enough of Russo and Ed Ferrara. Bill Busch states that if Scott Hall doesn't show up at 7 p.m. tonight, then the Outsiders will be stripped of the tag titles. And Tony says the powers that be is fighting back, and tonight is going to be a lethal lottery for the tag team, for the tag title. It's a tag title tournament that begins tonight and will end next week. That is a lot of exposition right there, Logan. I felt they really had to tell what happened to Goldberg because, you know, it's pretty bad. He's your baby face, the man who the show was being written around. Scott Hall, I don't know if like this is the injury that made him not be on Starrcade, but then we saw him the next week, or it's his demons right here. We'll have to pay attention to this. And Bill Busch's name, I guess they're trying to make us like, oh, Bill Busch doesn't want us to have this crappy wrestling, and Russo is acting like a petulant child and decided they're going to call him out. But what do you think of all this? It's a lot to throw at you right here in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. I always laugh when I hear Bill Busch's name because my dad has like a best friend whose name is Bill Busch. So not the same guy, obviously, but I always laugh when I hear his name a little bit. But yeah, he gets pretty shit on throughout the rest of this episode. But yeah, they have to kind of they have to kind of eat the crow and talk about Goldberg and what he did and how fucked up his arm is and stuff like that. But you know they have to kind of admit that one, and that they can't kind of shoot, kind of tiptoe around it because it is a real injury. It did really happen. Is kind of fucked up before it. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't know if this is Hall's demons or if he re-aggravated an injury that maybe wasn't as serious, but now is more serious than it was, or something like that. Because he's obviously been back since Starrcade, which he was out for. And he was supposed to have the match with Benoit and all that, but obviously that never happened. So who knows with that? We'll see if he's back around before he eventually comes back for a pay-per-view we'll get to in the future. But yeah, it's a lot to kind of lay out there at first. You can kind of see the wheels starting to fall off with the whole situation. Goldberg's the first nail. Brett's coming. I've got to imagine Brett's coming in the next couple of weeks. That becoming more and more official. And then obviously, we'll get to it as we go. But we have this newly formed NWO, and it won't be the same before too long.
Ever again, sadly. Because I will say, Logan, we talked about this on the Thunderpod. They've done a really good job of implementing this NWO, of them not trying to be the cool heels, of them just being dicks. And we'll see that more tonight. But they said we have 8 tag matches tonight. Just 8 tag matches. Now, guys, for those of you who don't know, you might have listened to the PTB one where they were doing the gimmick where you would talk about shows near where your area was. One of my favorite shows of all time is Starrcade. We also talked about this on the No Dangerously pod. One of my favorite shows is unironically is Lethal Lottery 91. So them doing this tonight, I was hoping to see like them picking the names. Sadly, that's not the case. But so in addition to those 8 tag matches tonight, we got Jeff Jarrett versus Kidman for the U.S. title, and Bret Hart versus Jerry Flynn for the world title. Not sure what he did to deserve a world title chance.
He's a real fighter.
We'll get there. I guess that's what's up. And sadly, Logan, Scotty Steiner will announce his retirement. Mike Tenay says that Scott Steiner saw his doctor over the weekend and that his back is severely wrecked and he will need another surgery. So that's pretty a downer. So we kick things off with our first match as Chris Champagne Canyon comes out and he's on a mic and he tells Tony to shut up. Brian Knobbs comes out and Canyon says they are renaming the Oscars the Canyons. Bam Bam then comes out. Canyon says Tenay was horrible and ready to rumble, so he won't get him on a movie ever again. And we see highlights of Canyon hitting Bam Bam with the title belt, which for some reason he doesn't have today on Thunder, Logan. And when they talk about it, Canyon just ignores them when they brings up the title. So our match 1 tonight is Brian Knobbs versus Bam Bam in a hardcore match. Bam Bam was jaw jacking with Canyon, and this allows Knobbs to hit him with the garbage can while outside the ring. Then again, they bring up the world title, and Canyon says, "What title?" Knobbs is beating down Bam Bam with a crutch and then another trash can. Canyon says he beat everyone clean. That's obviously not been the case. Knobbs just beating the hell out of Bam Bam during this time. They've been outside the ring, never made it in yet. Bam Bam Irish whip Knobbs actually over the guardrail at the one point, and they start battling in the crowd. Canyon follows the action. Canyon says he's in with these marks and scream and move it marks, which I thought was funny. And the camera angle was so bad we couldn't even see them fighting. I just saw like Canyon's head. The cameras lost them too. Canyon's doing some commentary. Then Bam Bam hits Canyon, and Canyon hit Bam Bam again, and Knobbs pins Canyon. Knobbs pins Bam Bam. You couldn't see shit here. This was just a nothing match. I don't really like with Russo loves having these wrestlers mic'd so everyone can hear them, but like the announcers as well, Logan. And whoever decided them to not even battle A in the ring or B battle so much that we couldn't even see where the fuck they were. Not even take a camera back there. It's just piss poor. It's real bad.
Yeah, this is too big of an arena to have a battle like that where you can't even see half of what's going on. There's an initial trash can shot that the camera actually misses. They're too busy focusing in on Canyon and stuff like that. So they actually missed the first weapon shot of the match, which was the first attack of any kind. And then, yeah, I love that they there's like just like a merch stand in the middle of the crowd where they kind of battling over by, because there's one of those like big like cage things that all the shirts kind of hang off of.
Yeah.
And I think Knobbs or Bigelow throws the other into it, and it kind of falls over and stuff. But yeah, you can barely see the top of their heads, and the finish actually happens over there as well, so you don't even see the finish. So yeah, just really poorly shot. If you're going to do something like this, you got to have more than the one camera, and have a roaming camera that can kind of follow them into the crowd. I understand that maybe they were trying to cut some costs and maybe that territory or something to that effect at this point, but yeah, just pretty pish poor production throughout this whole one.
It was horrible, Logan. Like I hate it. And then we go to the back and we see a white Cadillac pull up, and Sid and Benoit show up, and they get out of the car. We then see the NWO like in the back, and we see they're bullying JJ Dillon. Nash says, "Here, you want this title?" and just gives up the tag title. And JJ just says he's the messenger for Bill Busch, and Brett says, "Well, here's a message for you," and beats down JJ. We go to commercial break, and then we come back and we see NWO is looking at the monster truck that was in the background when the Cadillac pulled up. Jeff says we got some work to do. They see the Cadillac and Jeff says the big goof left the lights on, which he did, so he's a moron. Sid's music hits, and out comes Sid. He screams, but his mic isn't on, but you can still sort of hear him because he's yelling so loud. And Sid calls out the NWO, says, "NWO, we got you figured out. The message is real simple. Payback will be a bitch." And then Sid says, "Benoit, Goldberg, and myself talked, and we got each other's back despite Goldberg being out." Sid said, "We will kill your ass twice." He says it's unfortunate what happened to Goldberg, and that that Sid will be Bret Hart's best nightmare, and says it's sold out. It will be Bret versus Sid for the world title. And Sid says he will powerbomb Bret Hart straight to hell. And then Chris Benoit's music hits, and he has a mic. Chris calls out the Golden Child, a.k.a. the Chosen One, Jeff Jarrett. He says it's a damn shame he's being tainted by ego and greed. He said Jeff Jarrett lost his respect, and come sold out, there will be an ass-kicking for Jeff in a triple threat theater match. The first match is a Dungeon Rules. No ropes, no way out. And the victory by pinfall submission. The second match is a bunkhouse brawl. And the third match is caged heat. 2 men walk in, 1 man walks out, and 2 out of 3 wins it all. Logan, so we had to recalibrate, obviously. I figured we would have seen Benoit and Jarrett, but I think with who we got as a tag team, I think we might have got later on. I think we might have. Remember when I was talking about Skyscrapers 2000 with Sid and Wall? I think we might have got them versus the Outsiders if they didn't have to recalibrate. But Sid's obviously, WCW is not hot on big main eventers, especially babyface main eventers right now. So this makes total sense to me. Sid's promo was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I hate Russo, but the Triple Threat Theater for a 2 out of 3 falls match is actually a really good name that I wish they would bring back if they were going to have like gimmick matches for these 2 out of 3 falls matches. So, like we said before, this looks good in theory. Sadly, we know this is not the case, but Sold Out was looking to be a pretty good show, Logan.
Yeah, it's kind of the 3 stages thing is kind of a 3 stages of hell precursor. Obviously, that match hadn't happened yet either. Obviously, that'll happen in 2001 with Triple H and Austin, but kind of a precursor to that. But Benoit made it sound like it was like throughout the night. Like one was at the beginning, one was in the middle, one was at the end. It wasn't like 3 consecutive matches with how he made it sound, at least. But yes, definitely a cool idea. Would have been interesting to see it kind of play out. But yeah, Sid's promo wasn't bad. I love that they tried to make I love that they tried to make it seem like they were in the parking lot of the Astrodome when it was very clearly the backstage of the Astrodome. If you remember when it was one of the it was the Roman
it's proven later tonight too.
Yeah, it was the Roman Reigns and KO like last man standing match or whatever. It was a different baseball stadium, obviously, but like just how it was set up is kind of like how the backstage was at Tropicana Field when they did that match. But yeah, you could kind of tell that they were in the arena, and they tried to play it off like it was in the parking lot. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yes, it had a pretty good promo, and like I said before, if the Benoit thing had come to fruition, it would have been a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where the tag title was going. But because definitely what we see later on with that, I never thought I'd be cheering for the wall, Logan, but here we are.
Yeah, well, any hope he had of a push before tonight is very much murdered in that main event. So we'll talk about that later, though.
Yes, we will. Chris goes on to say that Jeff is the chosen one to be the sacrificial lamb. And Chris said Jeff will learn what silent but violent is all about. I'm not going to lie, Logan. Hearing this stuff back and for what happens feels weird.
Yeah, I get pretty.
Then we go to the back. It's real uncomfortable. And then we go to the back and we see the NWO has spray painted Sid's car, which is like they just like draw all over it. I figured they'd be like penises or something, but not even that. We go to commercial break. We see highlights of what just happened. And we see that Chris and Sid run to the car and they're both pissed. Sid actually says doggone it, which makes me laugh because he's so corny at some points. So match 2, guys. So it's Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda versus Conan and Dean Malenko. So Buzzkill comes out and his theme, which I did not realize, and neither did Logan because we messaged about this, guys, is a total ripoff of the New Age Outlaws. And like when Buzzkill comes out, he actually says, it's me, it's BUZZKILL, which wanted to KILL me.
BU double crooked letter.
Yeah, it was so bad. It's so bad. But yeah, Logan, like me and you both talked, it's like we did not realize that because I don't think they've ever played his theme music before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's like the Ice Ice Baby Under Pressure thing. It's like instead of now, it's bow 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 bow. It is like the most rip-offy rip-off in the history of rip-offs. So, but yeah, I did. As soon as it came on, I was like, "Is Road Dogg about to come out? What the hell is going on here?" And then obviously Buzzkill comes out, and I'm like, that's what they're doing." Russo took the old New Age Outlaws theme and repurposed it somehow. So, yeah, not good.
Yep.
Buzzkill is terrible, but my first note on this match before you kind of get into it is what a collective of suck and Dean Malenko. So
see, I'm a Conan fan. I know y'all hated him in TNA on Highway to the Impact Zone. I enjoy Logan. I liked him in the Wolfpack. Okay,
I do like his like crowd
So
hyping stuff, but he's always been a terrible wrestler to me. I guess that's where my disconnect with him is.
yeah, I can see that. That's fine. So we got Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda versus Conan and Dean Malenko in a uh, lethal lottery match for the title tournament. Lethal lottery tag tournament match. Jesus. Um, the Filthy Animals music hits, and you see how they beat the Revolution on Thunder. I thought it was good. I mean, we've seen this in all lethal lotteries, how the Filthy Animals and Revolution, like the two people that are boring, have to team up. Dean and Rotunda start. The announcer said that Scott Hall will be here at 8 because that's when happy hour is over. Nothing like kicking a man when he's might be relapsing. Rotunda and Buzzkill both work over Dean. Dean tags the Conan, and K-Dog hits the rolling clothesline, then a face buster. K-Dog slaps Dean with the tag, and then Dean took out on offense and took offense and knocked K-Dog out of the ring. This means Revolution and Filthy Animals start to fight. Dean rolled through a Buzzkill sunset flip that he tried and got the Texas Cloverleaf on Buzzkill, which I thought was nice. And then Asia, like a complete moron, Logan distracts the ref for no reason. And then Leia Meow jumps on Asia's back. This allows Hacksaw to run in and hit Dean with a 2x4. Asia throws off Leia Meow and Buzzkill pins Dean, and it's over. Revolution looks pissed. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. Like Asia, like Dean had the win, and then Asia just looks like a moron, distracts the ref. This is overbooking bullshit to the T. This match went like 2 minutes, like 2.5 minutes, a Russo special, and so much overbooking. And somehow this fucking Hacksaw and Revolution feud will not die, Logan. I thought it died after Starrcade, but it will not die. Like it's just stop. So yeah, that Revolution's pissed, but anything you like to add? You want to hate on it with me too?
Yeah, I mean it was bad. Any tournament that has Mike Rotunda in 1999 and Buzzkill advancing does not need to exist. It needs to die in a fire, in a very, very big and devastating fire at that. The only highlight in this match is that Heenan calls Buzzkill roadkill the whole time during the match, so I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, Asia looks absolutely moronic because, like you said, Malenko has the cloverleaf in, and a tap out is going to happen eventually. But she distracts for some reason, and Duggan comes in and creams him with the board. So, roadkill or not roadkill, Buzzkill and Rotunda. They could be Roadkill as a tag team name because Row and Kill, we'll play with it. But yeah, just a bad match. And yeah, I don't really have any want to see this rivalry between the Revolution and Duggan go any further.
I agree. I wish it would end at Starrcade. Somehow it's rolling into the year 2000. So we go to the back, and the NWO keeps spray painting shit because it's 1996 apparently. Jeff tried to get in the production truck, but it's locked. Then he pulls a plug, and now the screen is all grainy. He messed up the production, and we see a limo pull up. It's Rick and Scott Steiner. Rick helps Scott get out of the limo. Rick gets a wheelchair, and he pushes Scott. Then they fix it. It's no longer grainy. We see NWO destroying catering. This brings us to match 3, which is Shane versus Tank Abbott. I thought Shane was gone. Tanay says Tank was fined $10,000 for knocking out Doug Dillinger on Thunder. Hell, I'd pay that fine for you, Tank.
Same.
The match starts, and Tank just I would just slam the match starts, and Tank just slams Shane and starts mauling him, rocks him with body blows. And then Shane gets up, and Tank just knocks him out with a punch to the back of the head. The ref calls it over with a knockout. Security gets back in, and Bobby says, hit Dillinger again. He deserves it, which I thought was funny. And Tank just walks off. This was just a nothing match. I will say they're doing a decent job of making Tank look like a badass, which is beating the shit out of me. So I enjoy that.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, if this is how you're going to use Tank, it is effective. He does just absolutely beat the crap out of everybody, and it's fun seeing him beat the crap out of people like Shane. you're going to have to eventually throw him in there with somebody that matters. So we'll see what that kind of goes. But he doesn't seem to have very much wrestling skill, because most of his stuff is just like like a backyard brawl kind of, real low class UFC fight where you just kind of go in and throw haymakers the whole time and hope that you knock your guy out. But yeah, he's going to have a real match at some point, and we'll see how if he fails or if he kind of rises to the occasion or whatever. But yeah, not much of a real match here, but just a bunch of punches and kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm down for him knocking the fuck out of people in 35 seconds. It's great. So then we see Rick pushing Scott, and when we get back, we'll see that Scott's retiring. We see winners of the Mayhem sweepstakes, which they've been hyping up. And Logan, I sent you a video of this. These people, like one guy was in like a suit from the 80s. They got the party supposedly with the Nitro people. I highly doubt any of them partied with them. We get a commercial break. We see highlights from Scott's career, from the Steiner brothers to Big Papa Pump. They're actually making it look like a legit retirement, which is nice. Showing all kinds of highlights from his career, which was really nice. And they said he will not be able to wrestle again, and WCW thanks him. They say, thank you, Scott. Rick and Scott actually come out to the Steinerized theme music, which I love. Rick rolls him down. They finally get in the ring. Rick hugs Scott, and he leaves the ring. Scott gets on the mic and says, the last time going down the aisle was harder than he thought. He said he went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at his back. Doctor said he has a degenerative disc and needs a fusion, which this was around the time that Austin had his stuff. So, it wouldn't become as common as it was with like Angle, Lita, Kurt Angle, Edge, so many damn people. And Scott says for him to be healthy, he needs to retire. We actually get loud Scotty chants. Scott starts crying and said he is sad he will never be able to wrestle with his brother again. Says in a couple weeks, please say a prayer for him as he has to have surgery. The NWO music hits, and out comes Brett, Jeff, and Nash. Still no Scott Hall. Brett says, give a big hand for Scotty Steiner, who's doing all this boo-hooing, which I thought was nice. Tells him to get out of the ring. We don't have time for a washed-up nobody like you. And he says, hey, Scotty, I'll be honest with you. You were never good anyways, which was amazing. Like, Brett's an amazing heel when he's doing shit like this.
He's just being himself.
Brett says, yeah, he's just being a complete prick. It's amazing, Logan. Like him saying, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're never good anyways.
You fucking
and then he says, give a hand. Pretty much, that's how it was. Brett says, give a hand for Scotty, and tells him to get out. The NWO throws the wheelchair out of the ring and says, keep on rolling, brother. Like I said, Brett was on fucking fire here. His brain's working like 30%, Logan, because of the concussions, but god damn it, he's not using all 30%. Brett says we're all emotional here. Brett says, I understand emotion. Jeff is fake crying. Brett says there are more important things than a washed-up wrestler like Scott. Brett says they have all the gold. Jeff's fake crying and says he can't bring himself to talk. Nash gets on the mic and says, don't wrap me up. And they're arguing with like a PA person to make it look real. And Jeff actually hits the PA person with the guitar. And then Nash says, oh, it's a break. We'll be right back. We get a commercial break. Nash, yeah, like it was just amazing. Nash says he has something to say before he was rudely interrupted. Nash said the jabroni took their bats in the back. Bad move. Then he gives a shout out to WCW. He calls him president right here, Logan. President Bill Busch, and says, do yourself a favor and let us take care of the wrestling business. He says the NWO and the powers that be have things in control. Nash says him and Hall are going to get the tag titles back. And he says Scott will be here tonight in Houston. Jeff says, what you want, a survey tonight? And the crowd chants yes. And Jeff says, I got your survey right here, and points at his dick. Somehow Dick was muted. Nash says, how many Houston Cowboy pussies can you put in one building? Pussies was not muted, just for the record, guys.
Nope.
Yeah, and then Nash threatens Goldberg and says the game now becomes deadly and hands the mic to Brett. Brett says Hitman 4, Goldberg 0. Brett says Bill Goldberg reminds him of Dr. Kevorkian. And then says, Goldberg, consider yourself stomped. He lost his train of thought, probably because he just has 30% of his brain. Brett says, Big Sid, you want a shot? We will destroy you like we did your car. Brett says the difference is you bleed and cars don't, which I don't know how to know what to mean that line, Logan. That's up there with like basketball doesn't hold grudges, like Batista said. Um, but he said he will kick Sid's ass at Sold Out. And Jeff gets on the mic and says, "Call this place the asshole dome." I don't know why I said it like I'm Canadian. Says he's seen nothing but assholes here. Dome. Jeff says Chris Benoit, you want to play triple threat theater, and don't be surprised if the final credits say Jeff Jarrett just kicked the Slapnut's ass. So I'm going to pause right here, Logan, to catch a breath, but a lot happened there. I will say the Scott Steiner, spoiler alert, guys, for y'all listening, you all know he continues wrestling. Scott Steiner fake retirement was done pretty well. I thought he was going to turn right then and there. Spoiler alert, it's at the end of the night. But I thought that was a good segment. Nice NWO heel heat. They're not trying to be cool. Nashville called them a bunch of pussies. We got the asshole dome. We got Brett just being a piece of shit, being bitter. So all in all, pretty good. And NWO looking pretty badass.
Yeah, the Steiner stuff was done really well. He had done something similar to kind of try to get Rick back in his good graces a few years ago. So, or maybe like the previous year or something like that. So I'm not sure I believed him from the beginning, but I just didn't know how it was going to play out. If it played out tonight or over time or whatever, but I kind of had a feeling something was going to happen with it. I didn't think, obviously I knew he wasn't done because I know he wrestles after this, but I kind of felt like something was coming with it. But yeah, the NWO are real dicks here. Brett with the great line of "You were never that good anyways" that we talked about already. Really, really funny stuff. But yeah, Pussy gets thrown out on the air and doesn't get bleeped out. So I wasn't expecting that one. But yeah, solid, good dickhead promo by the NWO. Yeah, Brett had a few lines there where it seemed like his brain short-circuited a little bit, but he's dealing with some shit right now, so I'll give him a little bit of a break. But yeah, pretty good retirement promo from Steiner, and then the NWO being good dickheads. Smashing the poor PA with the guitar was really funny as well. But good stuff.
Yeah, he was like, "You're going to try to wrap me up?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So then the Cadillac drives down that's spray painted, and Sid gets out with a baseball bat and charges the NWO. I guess Benoit got stuck in the car because he's a little behind him. They clear the ring. Kurt runs down, who's still the only person with the powers that be, and tries to hit him. Sid throws Kurt on the hood of the guitar. But this, guys, is when I guess WCW Master Copy is fucked up because on the network, little backstage shenanigans for you guys. WCW Nitros are usually 2 hours, 23 minutes. This one was an hour 55. It's because it's missing 3 matches. So I'm going to go over these matches real quick. Logan, do you have anything to say about Kurt just being look like a bitch?
I did like the spot where he got thrown in the car. I thought that was pretty cool, but I imagine he was pretty fucked up from that afterwards because it seemed like it was pretty nasty landing. But yeah, good to see Benoit and Sid come out and try to, pretty much run off the NWO. I don't really know why Hennig thought he could go in there by himself and take out both of them, but I guess he did have a bat at first. But yeah, I don't really know what he was thinking there.
Yeah, just horrible. He's a moron. So this is what we miss. I guess there's some revolution because we just see one revolution video with DC, but there's other ones sprinkled throughout the show. For some reason, there's only just one here. I don't know what the hell happened. But after that, we see Kurt. Kurt is taken away in the ambulance as we come back. And then match 4 of the Lethal Lottery is Harlem Heat versus Lash LaRue and Midnight. Lash LaRue's been kind of floundering since looks like he got dropped from the Disco Mama Luke storyline. And we have the Harlem Heat and Midnight storyline where Stevie Ray hates her. So it looks like Stevie Ray turns on everyone and hits the slapjack on Midnight. He slapjacks Booker T and he slapjacks Lash. And when he slapjacks Lash, Lash falls on top of Booker, and that's how they win. Even though Lash wasn't the legal man, the ref counts the pin. Lash and Midnight advance. And then we see Chavo, who's wanting to talk to Bret Hart, but the person in the screen mask beats up Bret Hart. Beats up Chavo. I don't know what's going on. We see because that had been, I thought, forgotten about. So we thought it was Rey Mysterio at one point, but it's not. We get Team Power Plant at ringside. I don't know if that's the same people that become the Natural Born Thrillers. We'll have to wait and see because I don't know who that is because it's just written down here, guys. So, and then we have match 5, Bret Hart versus Jerry Flynn. So this basically ends with the NWO interfering for he hits Jerry Flynn with the bat. So like Bret Hart couldn't even fucking beat Jerry Flynn. NWO beats up Jerry Flynn post-match. Then Tank Abbott walks down. He picks up Flynn and then sucker punches him. So he gets more of that. And then we got some more of Revolution's. They call it Assault on America. So those are the videos. And then we see Nash talking to Scott on the phone. And then for match 6, we get the Lethal Lottery match of PG-13 versus Rick Steiner and Berlin with Leah Meow. Basically, Rick Steiner just beats the ever-loving piss out of PG-13. He gets the win. He suplexes JC Ice in the turnbuckle and does the same to Wolfie. He belly-to-bellies him for the win, JC Ice, and then after the match, he continues to punish PG-13. So Billy Silverman reverses the decision and awards the win to PG-13, so they get in on some bullshit. And then the last thing I'll tell before I go back to my play-by-play is that Saturn talks to Duggan. Saturn and Duggan are a team against Asia and Norman Smiley. And then when we come back, we get the Revolution Assault on America. They were outside the White House, and they kidnapped a Bill Clinton impersonator. And that was the end of that segment. And then we see Knobs and Ming fighting. Logan, by the way, I'm so glad I did not have to watch Jerry Flynn fight Bret Hart and Bret Hart struggle against his worthless ass. Even though I've liked his the block matches, there's no way in hell that Bret Hart and Jerry Flynn should be on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry Flynn and Bret in the block would have been cool, but like we said, I don't think it would have been a good idea for poor old Bret at this point. But yeah, I'm glad we didn't pretty much see any of those matches because most of those sounded pretty terrible. I would have liked to have seen the other
Rick Steiner destroying PG-13. Yes.
Well, yeah, that too. But I think I would have liked to have seen the other State of the Union Revolution stuff. So I think that could have been interesting. The review that I have pulled up says Palumbo, Elix Skipper, Mike Sanders, and Reno are some of the people that were visible for Team Power Plant. So I don't know if it was more than those guys, but the review I have pulled up has at least those 4 guys being the ones that were there.
Well, everyone but Elix Skipper was in the Natural Born Thrillers. So, we'll get to that, but I thought Chuck Palumbo was going to be a future world champ.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how deep we're going to go into 2000 and even maybe 2001, but yeah, there was a lot of promise.
We're going.
Yeah, there was a lot of promise.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
Let's just say, Logan, we'll be having a conversation about something I thought of. So we'll get there. But yeah, we'll get there. So we see Knobs and Ming fighting with Norman last week. Norman comes down, and then the Revolution music hits. It's Asia with all the other members of Revolution. Perry comes down by himself, and Hacksaw then comes down. So, we got match 7, Norman Smiley and Asia versus Hacksaw and Perry Saturn. Loud USA chants. We see Hacksaw's families in the crowd as well. Hacksaw clotheslines Perry and then slams him. Then Norman sends Perry into the corner and slams him as well. Norman goes for the big wiggle but stops. He then hits a suplex. Norman spanks Perry and then hits him with an elbow. Norman picks up Perry and starts doing the big wiggle and dances. Then Perry just hits him with a German suplex, then a clothesline, and then with a nasty T-bone suplex to Norman, he slams him. Perry then hits the elbow, but hurt his arm on because he was dressed like a baseball player on his chest protector. Norman gets up and hits a clothesline, and then he tags to Asia. Perry picked her up and stopped. He tells her to tag out, but she doesn't. They push each other. and then Asia hits a nut shot on Perry, and then a clothesline. Perry, Shane Douglas was pissed on commentary that this was happening. Then Asia picks up Perry and puts him on the top rope. Asia then hits a superplex. Duggan then hits Old Glory on Perry and counts his own 3, even though they're partners. Asia tags to Norman, and Norman pin Perry to win. Asia slams Norman, and then Duggan runs in and chases the heels away with a 2x4 after hitting Perry. The Duggan's family runs in and they celebrate. Just a real shit match, Logan. This didn't have to be here. And then they're already looking like they're going to break up the Revolution. Russo fucking sucks. It's just stuff like this. Just keep him as heels. You can't have everyone fighting 1 week and then best friends. We've already seen that with the Filthy Animals, and they somehow already made up.
Yeah, I was going to say, luckily he won't exist long enough, nor will most of the Revolution exist too much longer for him to be able to break them up. But what a random ass assortment of humans in this match. Just the 4 most random people you could have pulled out of a hat, which is what Lethal Lottery is supposed to be. But just this one took it to the extreme, I feel like. Not much good out of this one. Saturn, I feel like did his best. He's so good. He probably deserved a lot more than he ever got, but he's got a pretty good comedy character down, and he's so good in the ring at this point. So sad to see that he didn't get more in the business, either in WCW or WWE going forward. But yeah, Duggan pretty much screws the Revolution twice. I guess Asia does advance, but obviously you would have liked to have probably seen Saturn advance out of the 2 of those. And I think the Revolution probably feels the same about that as well. But I loved after the match that Smiley was trying to hug Asia, and she ends up suplexing his ass, which causes him to do the scream, which is really funny. So, pretty nothing match, but I came away from it thinking Saturn's the man.
Well, that's one of the revelations doing this podcast was how good Perry Saturn was, and how entertaining Lex has been. I know WCW is bad at this point. It's about to get a whole lot fucking worse, but it's damn, they had the pieces in place.
Yeah, like I said, the wheels started to fall off with the Goldberg going out, but the whole thing's about to plummet before too long. So it's kind of sad that it was, it's not great, but it seems to maybe have some legs to maybe get a little better. So we'll see.
Yes, we will, Logan. Yes, we will. And it's going to get a whole lot worse before it potentially gets better. So match 8, we have Jeff Jarrett versus Billy Kidman for the U.S. title. When the match starts, before the match starts, Billy turns his back and Jeff attacks him and starts the match. Billy trips up Jeff, but he misses an elbow drop. Jeff gets some punches in, then Billy hits a head scissors. Kidman gets 10 punches in the corner, but Jeff drops him face first on the turnbuckle. Jeff kicks Kidman and then charges him in the corner and gets a boot. Kidman hits sliced bread and gets 2. Sliced bread number 2 and gets 2. Billy charges Jeff and hits a back body drop. Jeff with a hard Irish whip to the turnbuckle, and Billy falls down from the impact. Jeff misses an elbow drop, and Billy drop kicks him. Billy tried for another drop kick, but Jeff held onto the ropes. Jeff catapults Billy over the top rope. The NWO then runs down and beats down Kidman and throws him back in the ring. Jeff hits a nice delayed suplex and gets 2. Jeff then hits a drop kick on Billy, and he goes up top and hits a crossbody, but Kidman rolled through and got 2 on the reversal. Kidman's on the ropes, and Nash just chokes him while Jeff distracts the ref. Jeff hits a clothesline and gets 2. Jeff gets a sleeper hold. Kidman's arm drops twice, but not on a third. He fights back and elbows, then gets a sleeper hold on Jeff. Then Kidman actually hits the Baldo bomb and gets 2. Kidman goes up top and he hits a crossbody and gets 2. Jeff went for a suplex, but Kidman reversed it and rolled him up for 2. Jeff was in the ropes. Kidman went for a dive at Jeff, but Jeff moved and Nash pulled the rope down, and Kidman went splat on the outside. This finally brings out the group of the Filthy Animals, who I guess were content with the 2 times Nash was whooping Kidman's ass. They attack Jeff Jarrett in the aisleway, and they fight the NWO. Nash hits the Filthy Animals with the bat. Ray gets up on the aprons and hits Jeff with a crutch, and this actually got a nice 2 count. I actually kind of bid on it, Logan, because I could see him winning the title and losing it at Thunder. Jeff went for a power bomb, and Kidman hits a nice facebuster. Kidman went up for the top for the shooting star press, but Nash hits Kidman in the ankle with the bat. This caused Kidman to fall off the top rope. Jeff hits the stroke, and it's over. NWO and the Filthy Animals fight after the match, but NWO beats them down with bats and the crutches. And then they spray paint the Filthy Animals. Logan, I messaged you about this. This could have been a nice feud for them to have, the Filthy Animals versus the NWO after Sold Out. It seemed like there was a lot of heat there. The fans were into it. I saw Eddie and Brett pair off. You could have Kidman and Jeff, because that was a real fun match. I was a pairing I never thought that happened, but I was really enjoying the chemistry of it. And I would have bought Kidman as U.S. champion, the Filthy Animals. And you have Nash and Scott versus, Conan and Ray if you wanted to, because we've already sort of seen Nash and a Scott feud with Conan and Ray a couple years before. So there's history there, but it would have been an awesome feud. I really enjoyed this match. I mean, I know it's not saying much with these matches here, but it's just another thing that like frustrates me. Because of what could have been.
Yeah, the Filthy Animals NWO thing could have definitely been entertaining. I don't know that they would have booked it probably correctly just based on what we've seen, but
of course not.
It definitely could have been enjoyable in the right hands. I enjoyed this match, but I do think this is one of Jarrett's worser matches. That's just how good his matches have been so far. I just thought this was very TNA Jarrett. There was a lot of interference. I feel like he dominated most of the match. Like he would give a little bit, but he would pretty much get it right back if he ever lost the advantage or anything like that. But like I said, ton of interference in this one. This just seemed like a very TNA main event for Jarrett. So I hope this isn't a turn for him kind of going that direction and being a little less enjoyable. Like I said, the match wasn't bad, but maybe one of his lesser performances in a match that actually got some time in the grand scheme of things. But, like I said, it's a match that I would like to see again. And a feud that could have been interesting going forward. And like you said, I could have seen Kidman at this point as U.S. champion because he's very talented. And I think the crowd is behind him and the Filthy Animals kind of as a whole. So would have been interesting to see if maybe they would have done that at some point.
Oh, what could have been, Logan? Me and your fantasy booking fucking 2000. God. It would have been awesome. Would have been awesome because I know that's very true. But it would have been nice to see, like, maybe I don't know, but yeah, sadly that's not the case. We get a commercial break, and Mean Gene is in the ring. He introduces Total Package and Miss Elizabeth. Luger comes out to Sting's music, and Luger is dressed as Sting once again. Tony actually gives an update on Sting and says he will be back at the end of January. Luger is doing Sting mannerisms in the ring. Mean Gene asks about the actions at Starrcade. Luger says, "Work with me here," talking to Mean Gene. And he says what happened is Total Package annihilated me and kicked my ass. And then he does a Sting howl, like, "Ow!" And then Sting Luger says Total Package is best physical specimen. Oh! Then runs through his stats of like his body fat. And after every stat, he does the Sting howl, which was awesome. And he says when Liz hit me with a bat, it was like McGuire and Sosa power. And says Luger and Elizabeth are the best package in sports entertainment today. And then we get complete darkness. And when the lights come back on, their black roses are placed at Luger and Liz's feet. It freaks the both of them out. Go to commercial break. Logan, as I've said before, I've never watched this. I did not realize they were already hinting at Sting's return. I don't think he returns until Uncensored in March. Obviously, maybe he was going to return with Russo, but with Russo being turfed in the middle of the month, the new booking regime decided to change it up.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe he had an injury that was worse than maybe originally thought or something like that, where like the booking plans that Russo had involved him coming back quickly, but maybe they needed to repackage and rethink what they were going to do with him after that. So who knows what that had to do with, but I know Sting had his demons at certain points in this kind of time period and before this, and he found himself and found God and all that stuff. So I don't know if that's some of that stuff as well, or if that's kind of already happened. I can't really remember. But I
It's already
call
happened. It happened.
it's already happened. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it happened when he left after Bret Hart beat him at Halloween Havoc.
Okay, I got you. Okay, but I just referred to Lex as the Stinger package in this one instead of Sting or Total Package. I just called them the Stinger package, obviously. But yeah, the illusion or the not the illusion, but the lights going out and the black roses popping up their feet was a pretty cool little trick. But yeah, not too much going on there. And I don't know that I don't know that I really want to see this feud go much further. Anyways, I feel like we wanted a lot of things to end at Starrcade and not much did. So we have a lot of continuity on rivalries that maybe we wanted to see kind of end. So we'll see what Luger has in store going forward, since Sting seemingly might not be coming back as quickly as we thought.
Well, yeah, and also like Starrcade used to be known, Logan, as like the feud ender. I mean, I know we got away with that in recent years, but like I think that's why we just thought like all these feuds would end. I mean, some of them did, like Medusa and Evan Courageous. But that's because Evan Courageous sucks.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so we get a commercial break, and then we come back and Nash is on the phone with Scott, giving him directions. And then we got match 9, which is Finlay and Ming versus the worthless ass Harris boys. Tenay says it's sold out. There'll be a 4 the hard way match. Doesn't say who's in it at first because stuff happens. Finlay attacks Ming before the match. The Harris boys come out. Tenay then says 4 the hard way is Norman versus Fit versus Ming versus Knobs. So Logan, we'll have to see if these matches announced for sold out, how many actually fucking happen. So I've never seen the show. So it's going to be interesting. So the Harris boys were just watching Ming and Fit fight each other, and then they attack Ming and Fit, all 4 fighting in the ring. And then Ming attacks Fit again. The Harris boys do the worst tag team double moves, like a double elbow drop and everything. They just suck. And then Ming and Fit fight outside the ring, and the ref is counting the battle in the aisle, and they're counted out, and they still fight in the aisle. And then the lights go out again, and the strobe effect happens again, and someone was beating down the Harris boys in the ring. And then when the lights come up, they're both down. And we see David and Daphne watching the show, and David said they could be the natural born killers. So that gives us to a commercial break. I thought they were done with like who was this random person attacking. So it looks like they're fucking for some reason back, Logan. I don't know why. Yeah, so that's where we're at. This was just a worthless ass match. So yeah,
I did enjoy watching Ming beat the fuck out of Finlay and vice versa. So I did enjoy that for the little bit that happened. But yeah, then the Harris boys came in, and it didn't even really end up being much of a match. And I'm pretty sure they got counted out. Somebody may have gotten pinned at some point that I've just missed. But yeah, the Harris boys advanced.
No, they got counted out.
Yeah, they got counted out. Okay, that's what I thought. But the Harris boys somehow get paired together in advance here. So. And yeah, I thought the kind of light flickering thing was over as well. Maybe not doing the lights going out the previous segment and then also in the next match. Maybe not be a good idea doing those kind of back to back like that. But yeah, another nothing lethal lottery match that was not that good. So just not that good. But yeah, hopefully maybe we'll have another one of these that may be good eventually. Not holding that hope, but maybe one will be good before the end of the night.
I'm not holding my breath at all for any of these, Logan, because they all suck. Sorry, guys. That's just the way I feel. So. With the network, I was very confused with this because when it came back, we just see Vampiro beating the hell out of 3 count, everyone but Evan. But what had happened was the 3 count video was playing as the 3 danced, and then Vampiro just came out and beat him up, and then he kept Evan in the ring, and that's how I found out that Vampiro and Evan were a tag team versus David Flair and the Maestro. The Maestro is walking down, but Crowbar attacks him and takes a spot. Now, guys, in this match, an all-time dumb WCW moment happens, and I want you to know if you guys catch this. Logan, I haven't messaged you about this because it just hurt my head. So now the Crowbar is taken over, despite what we just saw. That was what I just talked about. That wasn't the dumbest thing. What's coming up is the dumbest thing. So it's Vampiro and Evan Courageous versus David Flair and Crowbar. Vampiro dove on both, who were outside the ring, walking into the ring. The match starts. Vampiro goes after David Flair, but then Crowbar gets in the ring and hits a German suplex on Vampiro. Crowbar and David Flair double team Vampiro. They went for a back body drop, but Vampiro actually hits a double face buster instead. Vampiro hits a rock bottom on Crowbar. We get a tag to Evan Courageous, and Crowbar knocks him out of the ring. Crowbar then hits a splash off the ring apron to the floor. And then Crowbar throws him back in the ring and tries to hit him with the move, but Evan hits a drop kick. Evan then throws Crowbar on the ring and dives on him. And then Vampiro dives on David Flair, who came in the ring. Vampiro tried to pin David, but Evan's the legal man. This is very important, guys. 3 count, and then comes in and tries to beat up Vampiro, but Vampiro beat them again and throws them out of the ring. The Crowbar and David Flair are beating the hell out of Vampiro. Vampiro gets nailed in the coffin and pins David again, but 3 count distracted the ref, and Crowbar then hits Vampiro and puts David on Vampiro. The ref then counts 3 despite 30 seconds ago saying they weren't the legal men. I hate wrestling.
Yeah, and
did you catch that, Logan, the first time?
Yeah. I did notice that. And then Courageous just stands there like a dickhead, not breaking up the pin. Also, so he is also a moron for that. But yeah, just this may have been the worst one of them all. This match was bad. Courageous is bad. Flair is bad. Vamp and Crowbar may be talented deep down, but they weren't in it enough to really make a difference. But Courageous and Flair are both just the worst wrestlers maybe ever. So yeah, this may have been the worst Lethal Lottery match of them all, and that's saying a lot. That it was, you know, that I feel like it was that much worse than the rest of them. But yeah, just bad refereeing, bad wrestling, bad just all around, not good.
And Logan, if it somehow couldn't get worse, 3 count pushes everyone out of the ring and keeps waiting for their music to play, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting. And then it finally plays, and they start dancing and shit. And Crowbar and David Flair then beat down 3 count, who are waiting behind them looking like idiots. And then 3 people get in the ring, and they're dressed in suits, and one is like a woman's dress suit. Their standards and practices, Lenny and Lodi, and Stacy Keibler, who looks amazing. We had already seen her as a Nitro girl, but this is what makes her famous. She looks amazing right here. And then David Flair and Crowbar then beat up standards and practices, who just came in. Get it? We're beating up standards and practices because they don't know what's right for wrestling. But Vince Russo does, guys. Fucking apparently. And then we see the NWO in the back, and Nash keeps saying Scott will be here over and over again. So, yeah, I did not realize that standards and practices debuted here, Logan. I thought they came later. I don't know when, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised Russo had held off long enough to not debut some kind of group like this with this name before this. But I could not pick out who they were. But Lenny and Lodi make sense. I see it now that you said that, but I could not place them when I first saw them. But yeah, I definitely noticed Stacy Keibler almost immediately. So I was excited to see her in this gimmick, and I'll be excited to see what she kind of does going forward, because I remember her being pretty entertaining with this gimmick. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, she looks amazing. She always does. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So then we got match 11. Somehow we're still going with this fucking tournament, guys. Disco and Big Vito with Johnny the Bull and Tony Marinara versus Chris Champagne Canyon with his hose and Jay Biggs and Buff Bagwell. They talk about DDP and Buff, and it's sold out. It'll be DDP versus Buff in a last man standing match. So 4 matches have been announced. Only one is a normal match, but it's for the world title. Canyon and Disco start off, and almost immediately we see Canyon talking shit to Johnny the Bull because Johnny was flirting with his hose. Disco gets the advantage and beats down Canyon. Canyon is able to get back control, hits a rushing leg sweep. Canyon tags the Buff and then goes out of the ring and takes the girls away from Johnny the Bull and just leaves. So he leaves Buff. So Buff's by himself and he hits a double clothesline. He beats down Disco in a corner. He then gets an elbow, but Disco gets an eye gouge and tags DeVito, who hit toss Buff. Buff is an Irish whip, and Disco gets his leg in his back for some double teamwork. Vito then gets a sidekick, which I love when he does these it's like a mafia move, but he then does karate moves after the fact. I don't know, Logan. Maybe I just love the Mama Lukes. Okay, maybe that's what's happened to me. I just love the fucking Mama Lukes. Big Vito mark right here.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
I should see if he's at WrestleCon. Vito gets a punch as well. Vito gets a delayed suplex. Vito mocks Buff and does a strut. Vito tags the Disco and he hits an atomic drop. This gets 2. Disco picks up Buff, but Buff dodges a clothesline and gets a swinging neck breaker, which I swear is one of the 3 moves he fucking has. People give Kevin Nash shit for having 3 moves, 5 moves. So does Buff, and Buff's a whole lot smaller than Kevin Nash. Disco tags to Vito, and Vito takes out both men. But Buff takes out both men, but then the numbers come into play. Johnny distracts the ref because of course he does, and Vito gives Disco a chain. Vito was holding Buff, and Buff ducked, and Disco hit Vito. Buff knocks Vito out of the ring, and then Buff hits the blockbuster on Disco. That gets a 3 count. And then Tony Marinara tells Disco that he needs to beat up Buff, and the Mama Lukes and Disco beat down Buff after the match. This was just a nothing match, Logan. Yes, it continued the Mama Lukes and Disco feud, but why did Buff have to beat everyone by himself? I would have been happier if DDP came in and gave Buff a diamond cutter, and then that's how they win. That would have made so much more sense than the bullshit, Yeah,
it would have made more sense for the Vito and Inferno to advance, just to kind of play that storyline throughout the rest of the tournament. So, but yeah, the first of 2 matches in a row where a guy by himself wins against a team that's supposed to kind of be together. I know Disco's kind of against his will with the Mama Lukes because the boss has whatever over his head. But yeah, just another match and another pairing of rivals, and of course they turn on each other throughout the match, and the 2 random guys that are thrown together win, despite the fact that there's the other 2 are supposed to kind of be part of the same group. But at least Bagwell gets his ass kicked after the match, as Canyon left with the ladies, like you said, in the early going. So Bagwell does get his ass kicked after the match, so that's nice. But yeah, like you said, just another nothing match and a nothing tournament.
Just a way to make your tag titles look like shit. They were on Bret Hart and Goldberg, then the Outsiders, and now it's nope, let's just make it look like shit. Just fuck you for caring about belts. So we see Nash walking backstage and looks sad,
and Buzzkill going forward. So
Buzzkill,
we'll see.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to watch on Thunder. No, I don't think there's a Thunder because of New Year's, so we'll have to watch it on the next Nitro, which is 2 hours, thank God. So there is that. Yeah, thank you. So we see highlights of the NWO messing with Sid's car from earlier, then Sid throwing Kurt on the car. NWO music hits, and Nash comes out, and Jeff seems to be arguing with Nash because Hall isn't there. Nash gets on a mic and says, "Much to my chagrin, Scott hasn't arrived yet, so if it's okay with people in the back, I'd like to have a couple of minutes. We should get some bit of leeway." And then the music of the wall hits, then Sid's music hits. So Nash and No One versus Wall and Sid. I got my notes here, Skyscrapers 2000, which I thought was nice. Nash tells the announcers that this isn't fair as he's stretching on the announce table. Nash and Wall start off. Nash charges Wall with knees, and then his knees running into the corner. Wall reverses an Irish whip and gets a clothesline. Wall chokes Nash. Wall then hits a back body drop. This gets 2. Wall punches Nash and then hits him with the shoulders in the corner. Wall Irish whips. Nash hits a big boot. Nash then Irish whips Wall, and Wall Bret Hart, who came down, hits Wall with the bat. Nash distracts the ref and Sid. The NWO attacks Wall. Sid chases both members of the NWO, but because he's a big idiot, when he chases one, the other one fights the Wall. Nash beats down Wall, but Wall battles back and gets a sleeper hold. Nash fights out and gets an elbow to the back of Wall's head and then taunts Sid again. Sid runs in and pushes the ref out of the ring. Sid beats down the NWO with the Wall, and then Bret starts beating Wall with the bat. Nash hit Wall with the bat again, and Bret throws the ref back in, and Nash wins. And we're going to stop there, Logan. But yeah, like, Nash is by himself, but still, like, I mean, Wall, they protected Wall, I would say that, but when every match is fuckery, it doesn't really protect him, you know? Like, I see his idea there on a micro level, on a macro level, but not on a macro level. Whenever the match is a fucking run in. So, just bad. But yeah, Nash advances. I don't know who his fucking partner is. Maybe it's Scott Hall. Maybe it's another Scott. We'll find out. Maybe it's Scott Shiflett. Maybe it's me.
Yeah, maybe it's you. But yeah, I did like Nash trying to stall for Scott Hall to seemingly show up, but obviously he never does. I kind of applied to it earlier. I'm not saying I think Wall could have been like a huge star or anything like that, but if he was planned to be anything or anyone, Nash absolutely destroys him in this match and beats his ass like almost the entire time, and pretty much squashes him dead throughout this match as a whole. And like you said, of course, Nash wins by himself because of the NWO interference. But I came away from this being really disappointed that the Wall didn't get very much offense on Nash, because I think we've liked him so far, and I think we thought that maybe he had some potential as like at least to maybe an upper mid carder, if presented and used correctly. But man, Nash just absolutely beats his ass in this one, and I was very disappointed when that happened. So yeah, it again, another nothing match and a nothing tournament, but the booking of this one definitely seemed to confuse me a little bit. So but we'll talk about what happens after.
Yeah, so the NWO is beating down Sid and Wall. Benoit runs in and attacks NWO and gets the advantage. Scott Steiner comes down with the bat, and when Sid's about to powerbomb Jeff, swerve, Scott Steiner hits Sid with the bat. Scott's moving a whole lot better now. He takes off his shirt and he has the NWO shirt on. He mocks Hogan by doing like his cup with the hands to the crowd. They continue attacking Sid. They bring the car back out and they throw Sid in the car. They obviously locked the door because Scott was waiting forever to get in the fucking car. And then like they unlocked the door, which I thought was funny. They bring it to the backstage, to the parking lot, which as you see, it's just the backstage area of the Astrodome. And then Bret runs to the monster truck, and then he runs over Sid's car, but supposedly Sid in it with the NWO monster truck. And that's how the 1999 year ends for WCW and Nitro, Logan. So we'll see what 2000 brings us, but woof, that was it had some high points and some low points on that. But what do you think of Scotty Steiner joining the NWO? I think it's needed, especially if Scott Hall's done. So yeah.
Yeah, another kind of guy on the rise is not bad. Jarrett's kind of fitting that role right now, but they could always use another guy like that to kind of, fit, have another rising star in there to maybe if stuff doesn't work out with some of the other members, maybe they could kind of ascend them up as like a leader or, a future leader at least. And just to constantly have somebody in that U.S. title division, depending on who they want to push a little higher going forward. But definitely a good addition, I would say. They do I'm pretty sure Stone Cold ran over the Rock car with a monster truck at one point or something to that effect. So Russo rehashing ideas that he did in WWF. But yeah, Sid was apparently supposed to be in the car, so he is absolutely squished and dead now. So I guess we won't see him anymore. Um, wink, wink, obviously. But yeah, he got absolutely crushed by the monster truck. So, um, but yeah, not a bad way to end the show. And NWO ends up on top. And we'll see what happens with Sid and Benoit going forward. But they got pretty beat down by the NWO here. So NWO looking strong, and we'll see what what form they take next week, because it'll probably change and evolutionize by the week as we go forward.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I like this NWO. I like keeping it small because, like you said, you could have had, like, if this went on, you could have Scott taking over and kicking Brett out, and
Yeah.
getting his world title run finally. But it's just a big what could have been. For my most absurd tonight, I got the stupid ass tag title tournament.
Yeah.
Anything you like to add?
Nah, that's it. Just all of the absurdness of the lethal lottery and the badness of the matches.
Yeah, and then what was good? I got NWO running rampant. So there we go.
I would agree with that. And Sid and Benoit continuing to be the foils, or presented as the foils for the NWO so far. I think they're two pretty believable guys, and guys that I enjoy. So I'll give that.
Yeah, so do that, and then I got 12 matches tonight, Logan. 1 clean finish, 11 non-clean finishes or non-finishes, 0 pole matches tonight, 4 pole matches overall, 1 gimmick match tonight. So we're up to 71. Theoretically, I could have said all the lethal lottery matches, but I'm not. 1 guitar shite, 1 guitar shot tonight. We're up to 23 total guitar shots. 1 title change because of the tag title. We're up to 27 different title changes have happened. Are you smarter than Vince Russo's WCW? The answer is a resounding yes. So that brings an end to another episode. Yeah, like Logan, like, how are you feeling about 2000 if you were watching this in 1999? Like, not looking good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have hindsight, so I know that shit is probably going to happen sooner rather than later. So maybe I have that in my head, but there's some stuff that you could see some light with, and maybe some guys that you could see maybe being future stars, and if presented the right way, obviously. But yeah, for the most part, just a lot of crap, and not much hope on the horizon. This was actually an all-time low for us, but we only had 35 things happen. Obviously, more things happened with the stuff that we missed, but of the things that we witnessed, 35 that may be even a low for like a Thunder. So the fact that only that few things happened for a Nitro is absolutely absurd. So obviously, like I said, that number would be bigger if we had seen those scenes that we missed. But yeah, looking forward into 2000. If Russo's at the helm, I don't have much belief in that things could get better. But if somebody else was at the helm and had a little bit better of a direction, or better of an idea of a direction, maybe things could turn around with the talent that they have. But like, again, with hindsight, knowing the injuries that they have kind of mounting up, and just people that are about to leave, it's going to fall apart pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with what's going to happen, but there's nothing we can do. So, but that brings us into another episode of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? Check us out in 2 weeks, Logan. First episode of 2000. I'm excited to see what will come of this. I'm nervous as well, because I know we're coming to the tail end of the first maybe chapter here of this podcast. So, but it'll probably still take us 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks to get through it. But
yeah.
I'm Scott Shufflet, he's Logan Crossland, and we'll see you soon.